Alright. So, good morning, beautiful, successful sales agents. Yes. We got all the shuffling and noise. Let's definitely save all questions to the end, just so we can make sure that we run through the meeting as quickly as possible. So this video is high quality content for everybody. So with that in mind, this is the first week of January, right? This is, to me, my favorite lesson I get to teach. This is goal setting, because goal setting is a secret to getting everything that you want in life, right? I remember in 2014 when I went through my divorce. It was a phenomenal year. I was married in 9-10-11. I was divorced in 9-10-14. It was 3 years to the day. A phenomenal setup, right? I went and I lived with my brother, and I wrote down on a sticky note. I'd been 6 months going through the situation, and I wrote down the sticky note. You can see it. It's in my mom's office. You walk over there and you look on the board on the left here, right on this wall, and the sticky note said, I want to have 40 units. Right, so I can do whatever I want, and then I want to help a lot of people. Just find financial freedom. That was the goal that I'd set in 2014. Somewhere in the spring, I wrote the date on the back. It's somewhere in there. And at the time, I had no clue how to do that. Ron, what was the maximum units we had?
I think we had right around
42.
42, yeah.
Right. So we hit that 4 years later. Hit 42. It was actually, we hit that in 2017. We'd already picked up the 42 units. Mm-hmm. So that was something that when I wrote it, it was completely unrealistic for me as a person who was only making no income whatsoever, because my wife was living in one of my units and I was literally making nothing. I quit my job and I just got my real estate license, and I'd done everything the wrong way as an agent, right? Quit my job, had no income, and decided I'm going to do this full time, and then made $17,000 that year. $17,000, and that was the year. I had no closings by the time I wrote this note. I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do this. And 4 years later, I've done it. I've helped a lot of people, lots of people. I've made a lot of money. I've owned 42 units, right? Here's the thing with goals. Be careful what you set. They may not be what you actually want. And the reason I preface that is, Ron, do I want to own 42 units?
Not anymore.
No. I want a lot of passive income. That's ultimately what my goal was. I just, at the time, said 42 units is the way to get there. I was very finite in my thinking. And so be careful if you're somebody who's written goals before, maybe you've been in success seminars before and you've done these things. Be very careful, very specific about how you write your goals. I listened to Tony Robbins this morning on how he sets his goals, and I strongly suggest Googling Tony Robbins goal setting. And it's a 30-minute video. It's something I've listened to a dozen times, and I use the same process that he uses. Yep, write that down. Goal setting. All right, Tony Robbins. And one of the things that he says is be specific, be detailed. If it's your health, if it's your relationships, if it's your money, if it's your career, if it's just the way of life, how you do things, how your business runs. Right? I was not very clear on how many hours I had to work and what I had to do to get my financial freedom. But I did say I wanted to help a lot of people. I wanted to make sure my family was financially free. We're very close to that, but working very hard and diligently. And I said 40 units. And when we hit those goals, I was like, oh, damn it. I should have thought bigger. Because now I'm 32, and now I got to start over with my goal setting, right? Like if I'd set a really big goal at 32, I'd still just be grinding through it and just making progress, and we'd be at bigger levels. That's just 4 years. We're not talking about a massive amount of time. And although yes, I did put a lot of energy and a lot of effort into maybe some of the wrong things because my goals just weren't tight enough, right? Like that's ultimately why we started a property management company. Mm-hmm. That was a goal of mine, right? I wanted to help a lot of people manage their property better.
That was a bad goal.
It was a bad goal. It wasn't in line with our natural skills and our desire of how to move things. And so then we went and we shifted and said, well, we want to own all these properties and we want to educate people on how to own property, but let's outsource that piece. Right, let's get somebody else better than us. Right? So Louise, you and I spoke about goals, and we talked a little, like on the phone last night, you talked a little bit about your goals. Believe it or not, you said, I want to do more transactions and I want to maybe build a team with my spouse. And that is one of my goals to go forward. Well, what's the whole point? The whole point is to cap out faster, to make more income, take more home for the same amount of effort, right? That's a goal I think worth fighting for, worth writing down. Like I want to make more money help more people with significantly less effort, right? That's something that's extremely possible. We all have the same amount of time in a day. Every one of you has the same amount of time in the day as I have. I get no extra hours, although last night I did go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I might have squeezed a few out of life. I'm going to squeeze just a few more, but I'm paying for it by being exhausted today. So there is a little difference. We can maybe every so often, me and Ron talk about it, me and Zach talk about it often, is sometimes I'll stretch, I'll stretch like hard, but then once the project's built, and these guys are working, and everybody in the team is going out and doing their things, and I've built the leads, and now I'm just like, I sleep. I sleep for like 10 hours straight, because the work's been done, and it's something that's built, it's a system. So I would say some of the goals that you're going to want to work towards are system goals. They're building things, purchasing things, anything that will leverage yourself so that you don't have to go actually physically do the work. All right? So one of the framing questions that I ask for myself when I'm identifying how to solve my goals is, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else is either unnecessary or easier or unnecessary. And if you frame that question when you're setting the goals, once your goals are set and you're framing, how do I get to that? What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else is either easier or unnecessary? And you start with for the year, right? You go and you set your goal for the year, and then you start back and you say, okay, for the next quarter, the next 3 months, and then for the next month, and the next week, and then the next day. And as you dial down, then you go down to the next hour, and you say, okay, what is the one thing I can do such that doing it will get me to the goal? So let's step back. So we're going to close our eyes. Everybody trust me, everybody's comfortable. I'm not going to come over and poke you in the ears and stuff, right? So close your eyes. We're going to do a quick visualization process where we clear our minds, make sure that you get your mind to a state of complete blankness. In school, they used to tell you never want to have an empty mind, you want to be filling it. Well, this is the opposite. We want to make sure your mind is completely clear, 100% empty, there's nothing there. You're closing all the doors and just sweeping under the rug, and everything's all hidden now and you can't see anything, and it's 100% blank. And in that moment, you have a complete peace, and you ask yourself this question: how do I want my life to be? How would I love to see my life in the future? How would it feel? And what are the sounds around me? What are the things I hear on the daily when I'm moving into the world that I live in? Whether it's my life, my career, my relationships. How does it feel? How does it sound? How does it look? Those are very important experiences for each one of us, as we all experience life in different levels, whether we're auditory focused, or visually focused, or kinesthetic, physically focused. So you want to experience life on the relationship level. How are your relationships? In some of the books I've read, they say the key to success is a very happy spouse, somebody who supports you. Is that relationship perfect? How could it be perfect? You just think about it. It doesn't have to go on to the details of getting there. You're just talking about, what would that look like? How would it feel? What would those conversations sound like? What would that be for you? And just focus on that. And what I want you to do is, however you record things in your mind, you can take out a little piece of paper in your head and just write down that piece of paper if you're visual, or if you're more of an auditory person, you may want to tape record the sounds. And if you're more of a kinesthetic person, you may want to take a video and just memorize how the movements were and how all the interactions were, right? Memorize that, and then take that snapshot, however you record it, put it in your pocket. And we're going to move on to the next phase of this mission, which is visualizing your career. So you want to move in, and we're going to go through another door. We're going through another part of this building, and we walk through this door, and this is your career door. And inside here, you want to visualize how your business is. Is your business big? Is it small? Do you serve high-end clients, and just a few of them, very tight, close relationships? Do you serve a ton of people with maybe less personal relationships, but a higher impact, because you're changing the world on a bigger scale? How much income are you making per transaction? Are these high-end houses? Are these middle grade? Are these investment properties? Are they condos? Are they singles? What is your niche? Because we know the riches are in niches. You can't be a jack of all trades. masters serve among kings, and that's the goal for each and every one of you. So what does that look like? What is the client base you're looking for? What do you have the most fun working with? Because when we come from a place of fun, we tend to take action. So focus on the most enjoyable clients you've had and the most enjoyable clients that you'd like to have. And again, we're going to write that down. We're going to take a snapshot in our heads with either a camera or video, and we want to make sure we're recording it so we have the audio, and just save that, put that in your pocket, and it's going to be something that you take out when you move on to the next room. That'll come with you, and you'll remember all of these pieces that you stored away. So we come out of that room, and we move over into our health arena. Now we've walked into a gymnasium, and this is our opportunity to, for some of you may visualize yourself on stage in front of a whole bunch of cameras, and you look a certain way, you dress a certain way, you feel a certain way, you have a high level of energy, and you know it's because you've done the right things to get to this point to make you feel this way. You've either bought the clothes, or you've gone to the gym, or you've eaten the right way, you've slept carefully, you've made sure that all your relationships in your life are great, so you're stress-free. You may see yourself in the gym just taking a selfie, whatever it may be. So store that memory, write it down, take a little note, or record it in your camera, or make sure that you get your tape recorder and record it, and stuff that in your pocket. Now, every one of these goals, I don't care who these people are that say money doesn't make you happy, every one of these goals can in some way be purchased. Right? There is some money that could be allotted to that gym membership, to those clothes, to taking your spouse on a vacation, to having enough money where you can take a little bit of time off, to having enough money to market to the leads, to the clients, to get to the parties, to the events where these people are. So money really is the key to reaching all of these goals. Now, yes, you must be an amazing person in order to attract amazing people in your life. And you must desire to do big things in order to do big things. But without money, it's very difficult to do, attract, and become anything larger than what we are today. So when you think about all those things, keep those in your mind and your focus, and throughout the rest of this session, we're going to come up with a number and a way to get to that number that'll help you guys reach your goals. So with that, make sure you take all of those thoughts and those pieces, record them down, write them down. I want to ask you to open your eyes on the count of 3. Start writing. You've got 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you need. Write down your goals as quickly as you possibly can. Go. I didn't count to 3, sorry guys. Bad music on right now. Anybody need any more minutes? Okay. Need any more time? Yeah? Okay. Take your time, write your goals, make it as detailed as possible. Nice.
Just the soothing music.
It's an attempt. Is it working? When I hypnotize, I use this as the background track. So it just allows the mind to not hear so many distractions, and it gives you a little bit more to think about to distract you slightly in a balanced way. So we always use some sort of induction music just to calm and focus the mind.
I just want to know when the masseuse is coming in.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
If you're very good, you can visualize the masseuse. It's happening now. Massage of the brain. So some of you may notice that your goals are already written, and that others are still writing. Let's just respect the people who are still writing. It's very important. Goals, literally, we may not do this again for another 3 months, or 6 months. Some people go their entire life without setting goals, so give everybody the time that it takes to get them done. Anybody else need more time? Thank you. How you doing, Tracy? I don't know, continue.
Nope, I'm good.
You good? You can continue.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, alright. So, how was that exercise for you guys? Were you able to see something that maybe you've not seen in a long time, or pulled anything out that wasn't 100% clear to you, or maybe just got a little bit more clarity in something? That experience.
So when I was on the portion of my career,
Yeah?
I was more hands off
Yeah?
with it than I am right now with like Sanctum stuff, which is
Very good.
when I was in that calm state, I was like, it was a little confusing to see that, but it actually makes sense. Obviously, our goal is to put in less effort to generate more
Correct.
benefit. So.
Correct. So you came up with a different goal than I guarantee somebody else in the room. But more effort for more response with less effort is a synonymous, right? Everybody should be aiming towards that. But you want to affect more people, like on a big scale. And we've talked, I know you want to affect thousands, right? So it may not be the same. Louise may be on a level where she wants to affect just a few, but they're very wealthy, right? Why, right? I know my people. So we come from the same place. So I like to affect a few who affect thousands, right? And the wealthy affect thousands. Otherwise, most wealthy people aren't selling $100,000 products. They're selling, like Bezos is selling, and he's making like 5-10% on everything, right? They're selling a lot of things, Amazon. So there's a value to helping the wealthy, there is. And there's a value to helping the people who have absolutely nothing. And whatever you decide to do is your thing, right? Does anybody have any goals they want to share? Is there anything that you're comfortable with? Because before we ask that, this is a safe place, right? Let's all agree that if you see goals and you hear things, it does not leave this room. Let's shut the camera off for just a moment. So again, everything I say is simply a suggestion, right? Based on where I've been, the experiences I've had, and the mentors and coaches I've been through, right? It may not work for your life. Remember, my goal is ultimate success. I just want to move in a bigger way and help more people. So it may not always be the right thing for your goal, but when you set a goal, the path is very clear to me, right? If you're looking to work less and make more, do more valuable work. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Can we agree that we all know somebody who's paid $10 an hour, right? Currently, we all can think of somebody who likely is paid $10 an hour. Yeah. Me and Ron have at points experienced that, personally, more recently than we'd like to admit, in some of our jobs. We worked one business, we made $125 after 6 months. Don't get into property management, right? So,
unless you're passionate about property management.
Unless you're passionate and you're disciplined and it's in your skill set, right? If you're not doing too many other things. And this is what I'm going to come back to, is get focused on doing one thing. Get crystal clear on what that one thing is. Identify, by my suggestion again, is what is the one thing that makes me the most amount of money, such that by doing this one thing, everything else is either unnecessary or easier to attain, right? I've just changed the one thing guidelines, what is the one thing I can do, such that by doing it, everything else is either easier or unnecessary. Well, if you're working 2 jobs, then you're just making enough to get by. But if you can switch it to the one job that makes more money and do that one job better, right, then now you can increase income. So there's a book called The Science of Getting Rich. Has anybody read it? My champions. All right, good job. So The Science of Getting Rich, he mentions, these are the philosophies, the principles of getting rich. You don't have to understand them, they just are. And what he says is that you may have to continue to do the things you've done today because of the things that you've done in the past. But that doesn't mean you can't start thinking towards the future of where you're going. So you may have to continue the activities because of the way you've set up your life for a time before you can transition into what you want to become and the role that you want to do. Just because today we've talked about the $10 per hour person, we'll come back to that analogy, but say you're $10 an hour, you're working at McDonald's, just because you've had this inspiration, say you set goals and you said, today I want to make $100,000 this year, but right now I'm making $10 an hour, how do I get to this $100,000 mark? It's not quit your job today. You may have to continue. You've got bills to pay, you've got responsibilities, you've got things you've got to do. But it may start being, what do I think about more often is how do I get to that $100,000, right? Or the $1 million, or the $250,000, or back when I was making 17, it was I just want to make 45,000. And to me that was a big goal again because I was doing it with a specific goal of in this industry, right? So I would be very clear about when you're evaluating your goals, the dollar amount is extremely important, but it will be different for every one of you because the things you want cost different things, right? And it will be low if you're not really very specific about what you want in life. Maybe the things you want are intangible. You just want to spend more time playing video games. It's a very inexpensive life, right? Or if your goal is buying boats and sailing or on cruises, then your financial goal may be significantly higher. So you have to be very clear and very aware of what you're looking for in life, right? So I would say one of the biggest things you can do is get very specific.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Come on in. There's a chair right there,
Just
honey,
put it on
behind
the
you.
side right there. Yeah. So one of the keys is getting very specific about what it is you want, what you want to be doing, and then you start working towards it. Not saying quit anything today, all right? Very clear, we're not quitting. But it may come to that, and when we do our one-on-ones, we may deep dive and say, yeah, it does mean cut this one and focus hard in this direction and just run that way. Can you financially afford this? And then what does it mean to have that extra time, right? So something to think about. Now, we all know somebody who makes $10 an hour, right? Paul, you know somebody who makes $10 an hour? You visualize that?
No, I don't surround my life around that.
You probably got a cousin or a nephew or
I'm all
a
set.
niece, or you got somebody in your family.
I guess, yeah.
There's distant cousins, like somebody might.
Yeah,
right?
somewhere I don't ask.
So then it may be easier for you to visualize somebody who makes $20 an hour.
Oh yeah, plenty of those.
Okay, plenty of those. We've all met the $10 an hour person who served us a burger at McDonald's, and they put in the same amount of effort, time, and energy as the same person who's making $20 an hour. We can agree? They're not putting in any more time. Right? The average person in America works 36 hours a year. That is the average full-time working person. So
A week.
the standard is 40. What is it?
A week, not a year.
Oh, a week. Thank you, Zach.
36
Yes.
hours a year is a good goal, though.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even towards it.
Well, that $20 an hour. Yeah.
Right, so that is the transition. So does anybody here know somebody who makes $40 an hour?
Mhm.
We can all think of construction workers, right? Maybe doctors and attorneys. No, actually, they make a little more. That's the next phase, right?
Yeah.
But think of now, they're putting in the same amount of hours. Are they working any more hours than anybody else? They're making more money, though. And what about $80 an hour, $100 an hour? Can we think of trades, I just mentioned a few, can we think of trades that make $80 to $100 an hour? Absolutely, all right, they exist. What about $200 an hour? If it's feasible to make $100, can you make $200 an hour? All right? We know it's feasible. We know that there are people that do it. And one of the keys is how are they doing this? It's because they're bringing more value to the marketplace. Right? Jim Rohn says it best. He says, look, that doesn't mean that they're not more valuable human beings. He says, yeah, of course, valuable mother, right? Valuable mom, valuable business partner. They're valuable, but are they bringing more value to the marketplace? Right? And that's how you're paid, is from the marketplace. You know, a valuable person in society, of course. Right? Valuable human being, yes. But what about $400 an hour? Right? We can think of people, myself, I make $400 an hour. Right? When I'm on stage, is it possible to make $10,000 an hour? Yes. How long am I on stage? 8 hours, make $10,000. No, we make $100,000 at our 3-day event. I'm on stage. We make $100,000. I've made $10,000 an hour, right? Entirely possible. Is it possible for people to make $1 million an hour? Donald Trump makes $1 million an hour. When he goes to speak for an hour at the, I think it's the Lexicon events, I can't remember the name of the company that puts on the events where Donald Trump goes and speaks to educate. They pay him, they used to pay, it's higher now, they used to pay him $1 million an hour to show up. Now they pay him $2. So is it possible to add that much value to the marketplace? And you ask, how is this possible? Well, the ticket was $1,000 for each person. They filled the room with 100,000 people. Very simple, right? And some of the tickets were 40,000 to be right up front, to be able to go and see him and be that close to him, right? There are real estate investors. We know Tom is not putting in any more hours than a normal human being lives, right? And he's making millions a year, right? In the same industry that we're all in. He's not closing any more transactions. He's not going on appointments. He went on one appointment this year. But he's not like closing, he went because it was like 2 minutes from his house and he just wanted to test himself out, right? But his brokerage closed 1,000 transactions, and he gets a little piece off of every one of those transactions, right? So think about the value to the marketplace. That's how you make more money, not by putting in more hours. Now, sometimes in the beginning, do you have to put in hours to bring in more value? Yes. But ask yourselves, what systems, what tools, what education can I get? What people can I leverage? What different pieces and systems can I learn or shift to that are going to help me get to the goals that I'm setting, right? If you're making a certain dollar every year, I would say always double the goal, right? That's one thing that I've found very easy to do. It's the equal amount of difficulty when I was trying to double 17,000 as when I'm trying to double $500,000. It's the same equal amount of difficulty, I promise you. Every year I wake up and I'm like, how the hell do I do this? And I start now in September because I know January is coming. And I know I've got to figure out how to get to this goal. And I like to have every month that I possibly can to work towards it. So I would say double your income every year. How do you bring more value to the marketplace working the same amount of hours that you're working? That is ultimately the goal, right? Just bring more value with the same amount of hours, or as you get more leveraged with less hours. How do I pull myself out to get to more value? And one of the keys as real estate agents is absolutely joining teams, becoming a team, making a team, like figuring out ways where you can leverage other people, and then leveraging systems. One of the systems we leverage heavily is Facebook. It's a marketing platform that is extremely inexpensive to use. Right? So tying this all in, I just want to, when you guys set your financial goals, that's what we're about to do, is set the financial goals, is make sure that you are very unrealistic. I'm not asking you to be realistic, right? That's what other people will tell you to say. In this room, it's a very safe space. I want you to be completely unrealistic, but what would get you what you want? And it may be easier to set a 2 or 3 year goal as opposed to 1 year. Maybe 1 year feels like it's too quick. Ron and I set 7-year goals the other day, and that was just fun. Because we're like, well, whatever. Look at what we've built in 2 years of working together. Just imagine 7. So we were just like, we just threw darts at the wall, said, whatever, boom, blow it up, expensive, like huge, what is this? And that's our target. We'll probably hit it well before 7 years, guaranteed. All those pieces, we'll crush them. It's just, you had to go a little bigger to think that it was possible for you. When you think there's more time, you're like, oh, okay, like now I can definitely do that. I can definitely do this. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes, just think about the number, think about all the things that you want, everything you wrote down, and instead of if I worked for them, what if I just bought them, right? If you wanted to, be in shape, what if I just paid a personal trainer, top dollars, I show up, they tell me what to do, I shower, I go home, and I have the time and freedom to do that, right? What does that cost? It means you have to make more money per hour so that you can have more time to go and do those things. That's a health goal, right? Or relationship goals. How do I spend more time with my kids and my spouse so that, and we can go on a vacation, right? We love vacations with our spouses. So how do we spend more time paying for those things and then doing those things together? So how can we afford that? So less hours, higher value during those hours that you're working. And then the other piece is just our career. How do I help the amount of people that I want to help? What is the dollar amount it takes to get there? With Facebook leads, I know it's somewhere to a 5 to 10% ratio, or 5 to 10% times investment. So if I spend $100, I'm probably making another $500 to $1,000 very quickly. If I spend $500, it's again the same thing. I'm making $2,500 to $5,000. So it's one of those pieces, and I'm talking about like that month, right? Facebook, the return on investment is so high right now, it's ridiculous. So you spend $1,000, you're making $10,000. Why wouldn't you spend it? You know, the systems, the campaigns, it just makes sense to me. So think about the goals, think about what you have to do, what you have to spend. I know when we generate leads using our system, we're generating somewhere around 100 to 75 leads, internet leads, for about $250 a month. Like that is enough leads for somebody to go out and work and grind. And those leads take you anywhere between 18 months to a year to close because they tend to be buyer leads. And then with our seller campaigns, we're bringing right around that point of 50 to 75 per $100. Well, it's Facebook $100, but the system costs money. So $250 brings us that, right? Is it okay that I pay monthly for a system? My systems cost me about $1,500 a month. I'm not saying that you guys have to go and pay and build and do and spend all the time that I've built, because you guys fortunately get to plug into it. We just, we say, hey, this is what the fee is, and you plug in yourself. But imagine our return on investment, right? Tracy, you work our buyer leads.
Yes.
How many do you get coming into? You got about, I think it's about 1,000 right now.
Yeah. It was like 13.
1,300.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's.
More than 1,000.
So it's it's gotten big. It's gotten to the point where you're having a hard time getting through all of them.
Yeah.
You're like still getting through all of them, but.
Yeah. It's just I have to stick to a strict schedule in order to make sure that they all get touched.
Right.
So.
And that's the point where it's like, okay, like this is probably a cap. How do we make sure that leads that are not so serious, she's pushing off, and leads that are more serious, she's picking those up more often. That's good problems, right? Getting to the point where there's that many people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna buy, just, maybe not for now till a year from now. Well, a few of them are like, yeah, I'm ready to go now. So the leads, it's as needed. So throughout the year, it becomes very, very compounding, and it becomes very large. Becomes a problem. I can't get to them all. And now you're like, well, which one's the best one to go and which one's not? So set your goals. Everybody take a moment, set your goals, set your number for the year, and then we'll do a little exercise to work it back to the hourly rate. As everybody has a number that they've set down, they've got a number in their head, you know what it is. How many days in the year? Who's got the answer?
365.
365 days. So you're working all 365 days. That's a quality life, right? No. Okay, Louise, it's a good answer. I like that. She's like, why not? Of course we work 365. That's how we get ahead. Maybe for a short time. Maybe for a short time you grind out for 3 months, building systems and working it out. Depending on how insane you are, or how badly you want that goal. You guys know from now until the 19th, till this next event comes up, I'm grinding. It's just a grind. But once the 19th plays out, I probably have to grind against the next event because we'll find mistakes. But then after that, it's okay. Now I can coast for a little bit, and I'll just enjoy the experience and learn and take in a more enjoyable level, whereas right now it's a grind, right? But grinding for the last 2 months, to be able to do what we all enjoy and make a ton of money and help a lot more people is totally worth it to me, right? And that's up to everybody, right? So, you work it back. How many days do you want to work? And how many hours do you want to put in those days?
In a week?
Yeah.
Probably 3 days.
3 days. How many hours?
Maybe 3 to 4 hours. That's it.
Okay, we're being realistic,
I
right?
am.
Very
Because
realistic.
that's pretty much what I do.
Okay, so anybody else? Anybody got
Maybe a
around
little
that?
more.
Oh,
It depends
don't
on-
negotiate yourself up. Hold on.
Depends.
You put a good number out there. Let's not negotiate ourselves out of a good number.
Now going
Right.
to those parties doesn't really work.
It does.
No, it totally
I
is.
give a lot of cards out.
Right, right. And that's
I'm seen.
it's quality of life, right? She
Yes.
can go to parties, or she can go to being like networking events that she doesn't enjoy. She can go to the things that she does enjoy that brings the clients that she wants. It's quality of life. It's a lifestyle architecture. We're building our lifestyles, right? So we want to work 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. But she was willing to put a little more in, so I'm going to say 10 because it's an easy number for me, right? So 10 times 52, right? 10 hours times 52, so 520 hours that she wants to work. Do you mind sharing with us what your income goal was for 2019?
100,000.
100,000. Oh, I love these easy numbers. Thank you.
It was 101 to be exact.
Right. 101. There it is. 101, just to mess with things. Anybody got the number of what that comes out to? 520 divided by 1. I'm not putting the 1 in there. It's just going to be 100,000. That means $520 an hour, right? Everybody got the same number?
I mean, I didn't add up the hours that I worked last year, so I don't
Actually,
know.
it's $192 an hour. I'm sorry, $192 an hour. What do I say real estate's time is worth? You hear me say it all the time. I say $200 an hour.
I'm pretty close.
You're pretty close, all right? That's what I genuinely believe a real estate's time should be worth, right? Because what work do you really put in as an agent? Like, what work do you really put? Can anybody ever say, like, you guys maybe work harder than I do, right? But who's put in more than 10 hours of true real estate work in a week? Like, true real estate work. Like, you were literally showing 10 hours worth of houses, right? Where it counted. Where it actually counted.
Right.
Probably
Right.
have the computer, but no.
I have, definitely.
You have,
Because
Right.
I was doing all of yours.
yes. But were you in front of a client for 10 of those hours?
No, I was standing there like, what the fuck?
So how do I define, right, how do I define true work as an agent? Face-to-face contact with a client. If you're face-to-face with a real estate agent, that doesn't count, right? If you're face-to-face with me, that doesn't count, right? I will never buy through, not true, you know, I am an investor, maybe I will buy through you, and I have bought through many agents in the office, so maybe I am a valuable client, but not more than 30 minutes, right?
I got one coming up you might want.
See? See? So, but beyond the 30 minutes, now we're wasting time. Now we're not efficient. So you can absolutely run this business on 9 hours a week, 10 hours a week, and make $200 an hour. You just have to do the right things, become more valuable to the marketplace. What good is standing at empty open houses?
Taking videos.
There is a value.
The most boring time ever.
There is a value for about 5
Taking
minutes
video.
of it.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I take a video, then answer my emails.
Exactly.
I try to
going
find
emails.
something that I can do.
Has anybody ever said that I'm answering emails? Has anybody ever heard me say I'm answering emails today?
No.
No,
Has
I answer your emails.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's not $200 an hour tasks, right? What you'll hear me say is, I'm sorry, I don't check my emails, right? You will hear me say that. And as agents, you're like, well, what if I don't check my emails? If it's bad enough, I've never missed a deal. Never missed an opportunity, never missed a listing, never missed a closing, never missed a offer come through, because they call and they text after they've sent said email. And then as soon as I say, oh, you send it, what time do you send it in? I go into the email and I forward it off to the person who's going to do the transaction, right? Hey, go take a look at this. And we just keep moving forward, right? There are tons of systems and ways to get to that 10 hours. Mom, can you,
Just right here.
maybe, yeah. So there are tons of different ways to get to that point.
Well, look who's
So
here.
Shut that door, Paul.
You really want to?
Yeah, yeah. This is very important. This is the rest of your year, you know? So, knowing that it's possible, right? We agree that if you were more efficient, because all I've pointed out is a lack of efficiency for you guys, right? You can absolutely could you put in and pretend like you were being valuable for 40 hours? Could you pretend that you were useful for 40 hours in a week? We all do it to our spouse, right? I'm working, honey.
I just wear the clothes.
Right? But you pay somebody to do your laundry, right? Yeah. You pay somebody to cut your grass?
Everything.
Yeah. Do you pay somebody to write up your contracts for you, right? Do you pay somebody to go to some of your appointments for you? Do you run 2-hour open houses? Right? I don't either. I run 30-minute open houses. I run a 30-minute open house because it's valuable for me to be there for the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes. Beyond that, if I've got no calls on this property, it's not worth doing the open house. Is it valuable for me to send another agent to the open house because maybe they'll pick up a buyer and we know that their time's not as valuable yet? Yes. New agents. People who don't have the value to their time yet. Absolutely. Send them to the open house. Maybe they'll pick up a buyer. God bless them. Right? But for you, a listing agent or a buyer's agent, you need to be face-to-face with a new client every 30 minutes if you're working. If you're not working, now you're building a system, well, that's not earned hours yet. Building a system, this right here does not count as working in real estate. This is building a system, investing in yourself, right? Now it pays dividends down the road when you are working, you know how to work, right? When you're about to go and set things up, you're like, oh man, I'm actually not working right now, I'm not making money because I'm not face-to-face with a client. And anything beyond 30 minutes, they're no longer a client, it's just a friendly relationship, right? You can be efficient with people. I spend about 2 minutes with clients before I fire them off to the agent. 2 to 5 minutes. The maximum I'll spend is 15 minutes on the phone. That's only if I'm in the car and I get distracted. Right? I'll spend 15 minutes with them on the phone because I got a little bit distracted. Now, sometimes I do. At the events when I speak, like as a real estate investor, I'm teaching and training. Am I spending an hour with them? I'm spending an hour with 100 people. Do the math, right? High leverage time. When I speak in front of buyers, we had the buyer event. How many buyers were there, Tracy? There's 15 people total, so maybe 11 couples,
Yeah,
like 8 couples, something like that.
yeah, the majority of them are all couples.
3 hours in front of about 15 people, and my agents, training my agents on how to do this. That was valuable time, right? 3 hours, 15 people. We walked out with 5 pre-approved buyers. Hey, that's a good return on investment. I'll do that again. We're talking about what can I do to get to those higher value times, right? These meetings, I'm training machines, I'm training champions. If you guys for the next year go out and kill it, that's a good investment in my business, right? I spent an hour here, but I spent it with 7 people, right? 7 very high quality, high energy, motivated people, right? So that's how you start looking at your goals. You know, maybe it's time to say, hey, can somebody else run this transaction for me? All right, Tracy, how long does it take you to do a transaction for another agent?
15?
15 minutes?
Yeah.
You know,
You're talking about
over the
the paperwork?
entire,
What?
yeah,
You're talking about the paperwork?
Yeah.
over the entire course
As long
of
as
it,
everything's there.
you might spend an hour to 2 hours. Of course,
Yeah,
the
trying
entire
to get
time.
everything else together.
I
but
can't
once
trust somebody else with the paperwork. Like I've been pushing out my appointments, all of that.
I've been there.
Use
I've been there.
Giovanni for my open houses,
Yep.
but the paperwork is just like I feel like I gotta keep it.
Mm-hmm.
I do all the paperwork still.
When was the last time I did paperwork?
Not since
I
I've known
don't
you.
remember. Right, like I, if you ask me how to use dot loop, I'm like, I can guess.
Call
You know?
Ron. Call Ron.
Right, ask Ron. Ron's always run my transactions, and now I had my mom do one of my transactions, now Tracy runs my transactions. But for her to spend an hour on a transaction total time and make $250, she's winning. She's doing some high value work, right? And for me, it's such high level work, it has to be a professional who knows how to do it, right? So what am I doing at that time? I'm on the next listing appointment, or I'm meeting the next agent, training them to do listing appointments. So that it's high leverage, high time, high value, right? So for you guys, your most money is when you're face to face with a client. We'll do whatever it takes to get face to face with a client. If that means mojo, if that means dying through a database, if that means if you got 700 contacts in your phone, calling every single person in your phone until you've gone through everybody. You call 100 people in a week or in a month, however long it takes you to get through 100 people, you will guaranteed pick up a listing, guaranteed pick up 2 or 3 buyers, right? And then do it again. Because next month, it's going to be different people saying, oh yeah, you did call last month, and I thought about you, and I forgot your number, I forgot to call you back, or, you know, I was thinking about you, and I talked to somebody, and I forgot to give it to you. How do I, if I have a referral, how do I give it to you? And it's like, oh, well, I'm glad I called. Again, another listing, another 2 or 3 buyers, just from calling 100 people. Or my database is 1,400 people. You think I ever get through that? No, because I spend 30 minutes on it, and I've got a listing, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll go do it. Right? These guys have watched me. I did it to show you guys. I said, like, I'm gonna get 10 under agreement, 10 listings, something like that, right, in a month. I'm just gonna go hard for 1 whole month. I picked up 13. It was an accident. I literally went the other day to sign a PNS, and he told me, here's 2 more. Right? Oh my God. He's like, hey, you got signs in your car? I'm like, yeah, I do have signs in my car. And he said, bring them in here. So I go grab 2 signs. I bring them in. He's like, yeah, those are going to go on Harrison Street. Tell this guy, just go drop them over there. All right, well, now I got to get your listing agreements, my friend. So I stopped by the next day. It was just an accident. When you work with the type of clients that I choose to work with, you get multiple listings quickly. Right? There's 3 more. There's 2. You know, there's 1 that it's going to lead to 2 more later on, because that's the network that we've built. So you have to absolutely believe that it's possible. And you guys know me. I was not spending a ton of time on the phones. Hard to get a hold of, right? Because I'm doing something. Always, I'm in front of somebody. Face to face. That's my goal every day. Face to face, new face, get in front of somebody. Be inspiring them with something so that they can go and inspire somebody else. So the question to ask yourself is, how do I get in front of a new person every 30 minutes? How do I get in front of a new client every 30 minutes? How do I work a new person every 30 minutes? If you can ask yourself that question and answer it correctly with the right solution and process, you're going to do very, very well in this business. This year, your goals will be crushed. If you set a goal of 10 hours, and in 10 hours in a week, you're talking to 20 people, 20 conversations, tell me that's not a 20 buying or selling clients. Tell me you're not going to hit $100,000 in 10 hours, right? And you can see how to do it. It's just, hey, let's have tea. You talked about it. Let's get together. Hey, and if the 30-minute mark comes, you gotta go, girl. I'm out. Or, hey, it was a great pleasure talking to you. I have another friend coming in. You can hang out with us, or you can go. But I'm doing coffee for the next 3 hours. Right? This is my coffee day. On Tuesdays, I sit here at the Pink Bean, and I just do coffee. Is that cool with you, that every 30 minutes somebody else is going to rotate in and out? You can come or go. We're just going to have a good conversation. And you're just building rapport, and you talk real estate the whole time. Guess what? 30 minutes in, that person's gone. And then when you have a conversation next time, 30 minutes in, that person's gone. Maybe they linger for a little bit to see who you're talking to. Sometimes they're gone before the 30 minutes is over. Income went up a little bit. That's serious. That's just one strategy. Just one strategy. And you guys can get in front of hundreds, dozens of people if you're on Facebook. All right, why do I pound Facebook so much? Because I love being in front of a lot of people at one time.
How do you feel about the rapport that's being left on the table when you make it so short?
There's no rapport left on the table. I make it deep. When I go in, remember, I use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I use hypnosis. When I'm talking to somebody, I'm building deep rapport. That's what hypnosis and NLP are based on. So I make good eye contact. If they're a visual person, if they're an auditory person, I'm looking down. If they're kinesthetic, I'm looking down to the right every so often when I'm having a conversation with them, in rapport with them, doing what they're doing, right? If they're auditory, I'm raising my volume and I'm dropping it down. And I'm just playing around with them, audibly. So they're doing the same thing back and forth with me. So they're like, dude, we're like best friends. I don't know why, but I love this guy, right? I can't explain it, but this person literally, and the way to do it is not mimicry, not mirroring like all these sales guys will tell you. It's literally to say, I want to love this person right in front of me right now. I just want to love them 100%. This is the person I want to connect with and just learn everything about. Their favorite subject is themselves. All right. So if I talked about Paula all morning, Paula would be like, "Shit, I'm coming back to this every day." You better believe. You better believe. So that would be the deepest trick to building rapport in 30 minutes is just go in 100%. and care. 100% care to dedicate to that person and build the trust and love in them, right? And you will then have that return on investment in 30 minutes. People see me speak in an hour, they beg for 5 minutes. They beg for 5 minutes from me. And if I give it to them, if I just respond back to a text that they sent me, they're like, oh man, they get chills. They're like, oh, the guy, he's the guy. Like, he talked to me, right? And that's how you want to
Lucky I
build
know
it.
the guy.
That's right.
I know the guy.
That's what it is. I walk into houses based off of social media, 100%. Never met them in my life. But because I do a lot of video, they hear my voice. They hear the way they speak. You guys have seen my videos and the way I talk. It's the same thing. I'm not making anything up. Right? Zach will write my scripts. And then Zach knows. As I start talking, my own words are coming out. I see what the word was. I know it's supposed to be this, but this is what I say. And then he rewrites the script to what I'm saying. And then it goes much better. Because when I show up to a house, they're like, oh man, it's actually you. I thought you would have sent somebody. I can't believe it's you. And then they say things like, you sound just like your videos. And I can't believe you're actually here right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
And they're just so happy to be, like, the rapport has been built. All I had to do is verify I'm the same person. It was literally just like your credit card company. You go and swipe the card, they're like, yeah, Paul's there. Absolutely, that's her, right? We're comfortable, we'll give all the money over. Absolutely, whatever number you punched in the computer, we're gonna hand it over to you. Because it's Paula, we know it's Paula, right? It's the same thing when you build the machine, you build the system out on the internet. When you show up, it's instant rapport. Boom, checked in, yep, that's the person I recognize. All you need is a couple cues, whether it's visual, auditory, the voice, or kinesthetic, how they move, right? And once they've gotten those cues, they're like, that's the one. Yep. Visually, they have to see your face. It has to be your face, no filters, hashtag no filter, right? Because they're not going to recognize the bunny ears and the dog ears, right, when you get out there into the real world. So the filters are deadly for you, right, as a real estate investor. You want to brand exactly your beautiful face just the way you are, right? I don't care how you feel about yourself, you look that way all the time, right? So make sure you're branding that the way you're most consistent. You guys always see me with a hat, right? I do all my videos with a hat. It's just, I have to now wear the hat, right? Unless I decide to make a big brand shift. I take the hat off and now it's what I'm branding that way.
Yeah, it's weird when you take it off now.
Right. But it's something I'm comfortable with. I love the hat because I wear a cool hat, right? People are like, oh, what is that? The other thing that's very unique to me is I'll wear this, right? And everybody knows that I've had people like, what's that donut on your neck, right? But they also are like, oh, it's him. That's the guy, right? I recognize him.
Is it donut?
Right? It's jade, by the way.
Yeah.
It's for good luck and abundance, and it's a circle, so infinity, right?
Yes.
But hey, man, if you're thinking it's a donut, we're probably not gonna have a long conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all.
I'm like, everybody.
Which helps, because I want him in and out anyway. I want to get to the person who's like, oh, that's the guy. He's
That's
like,
the donut.
He's wearing the jade for abundance. He taught me a thing or two. Like, hey, what's your advice on, I want to buy this house. You know, should I put a down payment or not? Quick conversation. As little as you possibly can. Unless you're 80 years old and you don't have any income, then maybe drop all the money into that house so you don't have that payment, right? Like maybe there is a time and a place. So let me ask a little question about you, the person, so I can go deep rapport in less than 30 minutes, right? Does that help everybody? Everybody's got their goals, you know what your dollar amount is. You've committed to working less hours this year and making more dollars per hour, and you feel like actually you're not a slacker for having decided to do that, correct? Like it's okay to work less hours as long as the hours you're working are more valuable. And don't bullshit yourselves saying, I'm working, if all you're doing is at a training event, or if all you're doing is at a, and I'm not saying don't go to training events, just call them that. I'm at a training event. It's not work, it's building myself, right? And if you're at that event and you're learning something, of course, that was the whole point, right? But then utilize it in getting face-to-face with somebody every 30 minutes. Face-to-face every 30 minutes. And it's even better if they're a qualified buyer, right? Or if they're a qualified seller.
Yeah.
What is the definition of a seller? Everybody know the definition of a seller? A person who is sufficiently motivated, a homeowner who is sufficiently motivated to go through the trials and tribulations of selling, marketing, and cleaning and fixing their home. That is the definition of a seller. So 1, they must own a property. 2, they must have the sufficient desire to go through all of the work of listing it and selling it. And that is a very detailed list. But it's very easy to find. They got a home. I'm checking on the list. Home. Now, if I call them and contact them, I'm working. If I just looked and I researched how long they've owned the home and where they lived before and their families and their cousins and all this other stuff, I'm not working. This is just me saying, yeah, well, I don't waste some time. I'm scared of the phone call. Right? That's not true work. Research is not work. It is the potential for future work. It is the potential for doing and making money and income and helping somebody. But while you're doing the research, you're not earning. Right? So it's one of those very important pieces to keep in mind. And we can fool ourselves that we're doing things, but we're not actually doing things. So if you know the inventory of the market and you want to do very well, get on the phones, call people, let them tell you what to search. Right? While you're on the phone with them in that 30 minutes or 10, 15 minutes, do your search there. Now you're working. Right? Because you're on the phone doing something with them. But beyond that, every search I ever do, I'm with somebody. Like I'm thinking about them. I'm with them at that moment. And I do that search. I'm not searching by myself unless I'm shopping for myself, in which case I learn a lot more than $200 an hour, right? So, with that in mind, set your goals, set your hours, and start becoming more valuable to the marketplace. You're already a valuable mother, spouse, person, friend, agent, but let's become more valuable to the marketplace by helping them buy or sell their properties quickly this year. All right, guys? Good seeing you, Paul. Good seeing you, Mary. Louise, love it. Zacchaeus. Yeah, look at it. Alright, so heads up, by the way, switching over to Keller Williams. This is a new decision that we've decided, so this is a heads up. As you know, I've got Keller Williams walking into the office now. If you're interested in asking them questions, ask them. Yeah, you can shut that